What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is NCIS Season 15, Episode 23, Fallout. So, right back into it, get these next two last episodes out of the way for this season before I move on to other shows. Starting with this one, honestly, I kind of thought after everything that happened in the past couple episodes with Abby and with Reeves, I kind of had a feeling that maybe it was either going to focus on them again and sort of build into the final episode with our kind of season-long storyline of the guy that they helped get out of prison, whose name, honestly, I forget. Hopefully, if they do decide to do that for the final episode, they remind me, because it's been so long since I've watched any of it. But yeah, so I thought maybe they'd connect the two episodes, maybe they'd try to do something there, but they really didn't. They just made it all about sort of, I guess, reflecting on everything with Abby and Reeves. And I gotta say, I really don't like it when TV shows do that. I don't like it whenever they don't let the emotion play out until after everything is said and done. You know, because it just feels like it's sort of the after effect. And while I do understand there are times in real life where stuff happens and then after the moment is gone, that's when you sort of have your, oh, like this is sad, or oh, I remember how I felt about it now. In a TV show, it just feels like it's kind of a cliche way for them to do something shocking and then the next episode have the reactions, have them reflecting on it in a way where it's like, oh, now we can reflect on the emotion, and sort of use one episode for the intensity of a near-death or a death situation and trying to catch the bad guy, and then the next episode is a kind of throwaway episode, a throwaway case, while they reflect on the loss. I've seen a few TV shows, like crime TV shows, do that. I think NCIS has even done that before with like a team member leaving and then after the fact they reflect on losing them. I can't remember specifics or anything, but I feel like I've seen this done before. And every time I see it, I'm just like, really? Do we have to use up a whole episode when we can just sort of reflect in the moment? You know, have them, as they're working on the case, have them take a break for a second. I mean, it's real life. That's what would happen in any real life situation. If you lost a team member, you would not be able to focus on it. I mean, you would be trying to. You'd be so angry and upset that you'd want to just take it on and try to stop them, but that would throw your mind out of whack. And any good team is going to take a step back and reflect on the situation first, get the emotions out of the way so then they can do their job correctly. And instead, we got an episode where the bad thing happens, somebody dies, somebody else nearly dies, and then leaves the team at the end of the episode. And then now, one episode later, it's like, oh, now let's talk about how we feel. It just, I don't know, it just kind of, it feels like it's not really a flowing narrative. It feels more like you wanted to tell this story, but then something shocking happens and you don't really have time to fit it into that episode, so now let's use another episode to do it. At least that's for me. So that's pretty much what they do for this episode. They reflect on it a bit. It's mainly Torres, McGee, and Bishop. God, the names are just like slipping my mind right now. I don't know why. It's probably because I'm exhausted. But the three of them kind of reflect this episode on Reeves and Abby both leaving the team. You know, Reeves dying, Abby leaving, whatever. Let's see. I'll talk about the mystery real quick, just because, I mean, it was kind of cut and dry. One of Gibbs' old friends that apparently he was building a boat for, he passes away. So Gibbs is at the memorial at his house, and then the guy's wife is like, hey, he has tools down in the basement. If you want them, you can have them. So then Gibbs goes down into the basement, finds a secret door that he opens up, and finds his dead friend still alive in there, and finds out that somebody was trying to kill him, so he went into hiding. I don't really know how he managed to get in there without his wife finding out, because, I don't know, I feel like there are several ways she could have found out just by, like, just random coincidence, you know, like running into him, or he unlocks the door and she realizes, hey, somebody let themselves in, or she goes down to the basement and she sees something that tips her off. I don't know. It feels like the fact that he was in there for almost a week. And did he not eat or drink anything during that time? Because I don't think he left the room. That's what, at first, whenever I saw it, I was like, oh, so the wife set him up down here because she knows he's in danger. But then I find out that the wife doesn't know, and I'm like, oh, then how did he survive without any food or water for 6 days? And of course, at that point, I'm thinking, okay, so maybe the wife is involved somehow, because I don't know, that would be the shocking thing to do. And it just sort of got confirmed about halfway through. Torres and Jimmy both go to a golf course where Jimmy, I will say it was kind of funny to see Jimmy actually be like fantastic at golf to the point where he's really cocky and the guys are like, God, I can't believe this guy. I don't know. Part of me was also like, really, why are you so pissed about it? Like, who cares? But it was funny to see Jimmy just like so confident, like, oh yeah, oh that's a good one. I don't know. Something about Jimmy acting cocky, you just don't see it very often. So it's fun to see. But ultimately, Torres is acting as his caddy, and then while he's going to clean one of the bags, as a caddy and trying to actually sneak something out of the guy's bag, then Phil's wife walks up, and at that point I'm thinking, okay, she's involved. Like, the fact that she is just randomly here and catches Torres in the act. I know they tried to set it up as like she's now going to go tell, Vance, and then he's going to tell Gibbs to tell her that Phil is still alive. And that's what that whole scene was for, guys. But in my mind, I'm thinking, no, she's involved. Like, the fact that she's at the golf club right now, I just feel like she's definitely involved somehow. I don't know how yet, but she's involved. And sure enough, we find out one of the guys that they were playing with at the country club, he ends up owning a boat that one of the Coast Guards was researching, and then she got shot and killed. And it turns out that boat was involved in the accident that killed Phil. And then we find out that apparently that guy and Phil's wife were having a thing, and so I don't know. It was just so cut and dry, so bland and boring. I feel like I've seen this on every crime show several times. I'm just like, nothing interesting here. The only interesting thing that they could have done is the fact that this is a longtime friend of Gibbs, but it's the first time we're meeting him or his wife or anybody involved. So I'm just like, it's not really that interesting. It's a one and done while the rest of the team figures out their feelings for Reeves and Abby. And on that note, I will say another thing that I completely predicted last episode, whenever Abby, I knew she was going to leave. At the end of it, when she's talking about she's going to leave, and they're just like, what are we going to do without a forensic scientist? I'm like, oh, that's why Ducky brought that random girl in for the office for that one episode that was really awkward and kind of like an Abby 2.0, but not really a 2.0 because she wasn't really as funny or as quirky or anything as Abby. That's why they brought her in, because now she's going to be the new Abby. And sure enough, Vance is like, Gibbs, we don't have a forensic scientist or forensic technician or whatever she's called. We don't have anybody like that. How are we going to do this? And Gibbs like, I've got an idea. And it's just like, okay, so now he's going to go call her. Sure enough, that's what happens. She comes in. She's trying to integrate herself into the team. And I don't really have a problem with this girl. It's not like something that I'm just like, every time I see her, I get frustrated or anything. But I do just kind of get the sense of she's trying too hard. And I don't know if it's the actress playing the role or if it's the director trying to, I guess, force this sense of this is the new Abby, but you really get that sense. You really get a sense of they're trying to integrate this girl into the Abby role and make her Abby again. And I don't like it. It doesn't sit right with me. It feels like they're trying to replace a character with another character that's very similar. And I don't agree with that. One of the best things about Torres and Bishop is they both come in filling in the roles of Tony and Ziva, but they're not Tony and Ziva. They're two completely different characters with their own personalities, with their own unique quirks and charms. Yes, at times Torres can be that kind of that romanticizer that Tony tried to be a lot of the time. Yes, at times Bishop can be the hardball that Ziva played a lot of the time, but they're still their own characters. So they're filling a role while being unique. This girl is not. She's pretty much exactly like Abby. She's quirky. She's over-the-top excited. She's very weird whenever she talks. McGee is like, oh, that was quick. You got to the point a lot faster. She's like, oh, I skipped the most fun part. Rewind. And I'm just like, yeah, you're trying to be Abby. You're trying to be over-the-top. You're trying too hard to fill that role and fill the personality as well. And you can't do it. I'm sorry, you're not going to be able to fill that role. If you were going to try to, you'd have to integrate a character into that role a lot better than this. Than just throwing her in for one episode, saying that she idolizes Abby when realistically, and it's funny, I just happened to watch my review of that episode where she was involved. I don't even remember why I started watching it, but I did. And I remember talking about how she really blew Abby off and treated her like she was just oh my gosh, like, oh, it's Abby. Oh, I don't want to talk to her. And then at the end of the episode, she's like, oh my gosh, I idolize you so much. And I just remember thinking, you blow off your idols, you would really just not talk to them? Like, ugh, God, I can't believe they're in the same room as me. No, you would be fangirling. And she wasn't. That one episode was not enough for me to say, yes, she can take over as the new Abby. So it really bugged me. It really made me feel like they're just trying to force this, and it's not working. It's not natural. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like it's a good switch of character. So yeah, I'm kind of frustrated with this whole thing. And then on the Reeves side of things, which once again they're almost kind of blowing him off a little bit, which I feel like they sort of encapsulate a little bit with Bishop's line. I don't know if some writer just got pissed off and just wrote this line in under the radar, but Bishop was just like, they're just treating it like it doesn't even matter because MI6 came in and cleaned out everything like it never existed. I'm just like, yeah, that's exactly what the show is doing. They're treating him like he didn't matter. Even at the beginning, they're all sitting in Abby's office, and Torres is like, yeah, it's just not the same. Abby's different. I'm like, and never mentioned Reeves. It took Bishop mentioning Reeves for somebody to finally say something. So, yeah, I don't know. It was strange. It was weird. It didn't feel right. This episode didn't really feel right. So hopefully they can save it in the last episode. We'll see. But overall, I'm not really impressed right now. But anyway, that's it for this one. Moving on to the last season finale of this. The last episode, the season finale of this season. See you guys there in a sec. And finally, episode 24, Date with Destiny, the season finale. Quick disclaimer, I checked after this episode was over because it had absolutely nothing to do with the guy whose name I now know is Gabriel Hicks. And I'm like, really? We're not going to end the season with that? So I went back and I'm like, so wait, what happened? Like, did I miss something? Did I just forget that something happened to him? Apparently I skipped an episode. I don't know. Yeah. Definitely don't know how that happened, but I'm probably going to go watch that episode and do like a lost episode review. Yeah, I'm just a dimwit, apparently. So yeah, with that being said, though, let's talk about this episode. Kind of, once again, disappointed. Mainly because it feels like another cop-out episode where they bring in some bad guy out of nowhere, end it on a cliffhanger, so we have to come back and watch the next season to see what happens next. How many times have they done this now in a row? I feel like this is the 4th season in a row that we've had a to be continued at the end of the season. I hate that. I hate it so much. This character's in danger. To be continued. Come back next season because we have to keep putting out seasons somehow, so let's continue to to be continued. And here's an idea. Why not write good stories week after week? Why not write good mysteries? Why not do something with the team? Why not make character development choices instead of just, oh, here's a case, and here's a case, and here's a case, and here's a case, and then, oh, bad guy at the end, and one of our characters in danger. Tune in next season to find out what happens next. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. And it's frustrating. It's kind of reminded me of Bones a little bit. It's a show that I used to love back in the day, and even like a couple seasons ago, season 13 and 12, even back then I'm like, I still enjoy it. Even some of the episodes where things got a little bit too, okay, this is grinding, okay, this is just another episode, there were still moments, there were still things about it that I enjoyed. Now whenever I watch it, I just like, I've seen this before, I've seen this before, I've seen this before, I've seen this before. Where's the new stuff? Where's the original stuff? Because I don't see any of it. I just see plot point that I've seen, character development that I've seen, character choice that I've seen, mystery that I've seen. It's all been done. They've got nothing new, and so the only thing that they can do is just sort of bide the season along, do some little things. Oh, here's this episode. Oh, here's this episode. And at the end of the season, have one of the main characters in danger. So it's like, come back next season to find out what happens to him. And that's how they keep the season going. Because, like, we can't end now on a cliffhanger. Just, if you have no more ideas, then just end. Like, that's kind of where I'm at now with NCIS. If you have no more ideas to where all you can do is end the season on a cliffhanger, then just end your show. You've had a great run. NCIS has been a good show. Overall, over 15 seasons, it's had a lot of good episodes. It's had a lot of good seasons. Now, it's just kind of dragging on. And it feels like they have nothing new and original. So let's talk about this episode. Sloane goes on a date with a guy. They do this weird thing where they start off the episode with her in a cop car, I guess for the shock factor. Find that she's like, it's him, Leon, it's him. And then we do one of those little flashback things where they're showing, oh, she's going on a date. Maybe she's going on a date with a guy that she said it's him about. And then, things happen. Eventually we get to the moment where she hears a guy's voice. She thinks it's some guy that tortured her back in the day. And then she tries to attack him. He gets away, and then she gets detained, and then they find out, who he is or who he's saying he is. Bring him in, she tries to attack him again, and then she's like, I'm convinced now, it's definitely him. And then he leaves, but they have no evidence for him. And then eventually they find another guy who had been attacked by this villain, and he hears his voice, and he starts freaking out because he remembers who it is. And so they finally have enough to go get him because they have another key witness. They find out that the body that they recovered, there was no DNA signs that it was him or the guy that supposedly died. And so ultimately, all of this culminates. They track him down where they think he's going. Sloane gets there first, and then everybody else gets there right behind her. She's like, you can't stop me, Gibbs. She's like, I'm not trying to stop you. You're not going to be able to take him alone. And then they get to the plane. The guy's not there. He's chartered another jet out. And then we see he has Vance now. And that's the to be continued. That's pretty much it. Oh yeah, there was something else about some bomb threat on a ship that turns out to be the son of the captain wanting his dad not to leave because he wants him to be at graduation. So he gets somehow on the ship, and then Soap writes bomb on board. I'm sorry, what? What was that? I'm sorry, I just got a big cough. Oh my god. When I saw that ending, I honestly just thought to myself, so you really could not come up with anything else. You finished filming, you finished this story, and you're like, you know what? We don't have enough for a full episode. So let's just put in this random bullshit plot out of nowhere. I mean, if the whole to be continued thing pissed me off, that in and of itself was just the kicker. That was the slap in the face. Like, oh, we're so unoriginal. We're gonna do the to be continued again for the third or fourth season running, and here's another story tacked onto the side to stretch the running time about 15 minutes that has absolutely nothing to do with anything, and it's just pointless. Because yeah, I mean, they get a bomb threat on a ship. It's like, ooh, it's intense. Who wrote this? Somebody just wrote it on a mirror. And it's just like, okay, so first of all, this already kind of feels like it's not a real thing because somebody just writes it on a mirror. Most of the time, they're a bit more formal than that. But they have to treat it as a real thing, of course. So they go, they check it out. No bombs on board. So they're like, all right, well, who did this? We need to find out what happened. This is supposedly some sort of important ship, so we have to find out why somebody would try to stop it. There are a couple people who maybe wanted the ship to not go for certain reasons. Neither of them had anything to do with it. And so, yeah, finally they get some DNA. It was a guy that talked to McGee earlier on in the episode. They had a little bit of a connection. And then they find out that it's a half DNA match for it. And then his son's right there. And like, oh, Dad, I didn't want you to miss my graduation, so I just wrote a bomb threat. Because that's the next natural step. Asking you to stay. Are you kidding me? I mean, who asks anybody to do anything anymore? I can remember the last time that, my family wanted me to go somewhere, so much so that they shot somebody in the leg. You didn't kill him, of course, but they shot them in the leg to make sure that I didn't have to do whatever that person wanted me to do. Because they're like, we want you to come hang out with us. So they were crazy and just went bam. Because they couldn't just ask me to come. No, they had to be over the top dramatic. So yeah, I've kind of lost my mind with this one episode. It was like, it was already kind of frustrating, the stuff with Abby and Reeves, some of the stuff that they did in the past couple episodes, the new Casey coming in, her trying to be Abby, still trying to be Abby in this episode. At the beginning, she's listening to headphones. Jimmy comes in, he's like, you can't even hear me, can you? Goes to grab her, and she turns around and twists his arm. I'm just like, yeah, it's Abby. You know, she's doing something, she's not really paying attention, and then they do something and it's quirky and it's funny and it's like, oh look, she knows how to protect herself, so she twisted his arm, and oh, Jimmy says something funny, and jokes, guys, it's jokes. It's Abby. It's still Abby, but it's not. It's not at all. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. No, I don't think so. I think that was about it. Yeah, the tacked on story was strange. The stuff with that one kid was just dumb. The stuff with the characters just doesn't interest me anymore. You know, everything that they were talking about with Abby and Reeves could have been something that maybe they stretch out a little bit. Maybe Bishop starts to deal with the loss of Reeves a little bit more difficult than everybody else because she was closer with him than everybody else. Maybe the fact that, you know, he's not getting any recognition is really bothering her to the point where she kind of feels betrayed by the rest of the team because, you know, we saw in the last episode that Abby wasn't really, or she was the one that was getting all the attention for her leaving over Reeves dying. So maybe that affects her, and she's like, I can't believe you guys are just ignoring the fact that Reeves is gone. You know, he's not coming back. It's not like Abby where we can just call her and talk to her at any time. No, he's not ever coming. No, they don't do anything interesting with it. They talked about it a little bit last episode. That was the episode where their feelings and emotions get known, and we get to hear what they have to say about it, and that's it. That's all we get to talk about it. Now we've moved on to something else. Now we're talking about Sloane and this other guy. And on top of that, while I'm on the subject of what they could have done to make things interesting, let's talk about what they could have done with Sloane's story. Because once again, how many times have we seen this story where somebody hears something or they see something and they think, oh my gosh, that's the voice of somebody that tortured me, or oh my gosh, those are the eyes of somebody that tortured me. How many times have we seen the story where they think that? And everybody's like, you're crazy. You're crazy. This isn't the person. Just because you saw his eyes, just because you heard his voice, you think that's enough. They don't believe them. They don't believe them. They do more crazy things that make them look even more suspicious. And in the end, what happens? They're right. That person turns out to be a bad guy. The person that everybody thought was crazy is not crazy. And, you know, ultimately we stop the bad guy. Hunky-dory. Everything's okay. Why not do something different? Why not change it up? Why not have this guy be the brother of the bad guy? Or maybe he just has the same type of voice. And because she's been searching for so long, she's been trying to find a reason. I mean, we've seen her with this whole Wendigos thing. We've seen her, the problem it's caused her. We've heard Vance talking about it for such a long time, how it's affected her. Why couldn't that be the story? Sloane being driven insane by the fact that she hears this guy's voice that sounds so similar that it actually causes her to think this is the guy, and ultimately we find out it's not the guy. Why couldn't that be the story? How much more interesting would that be to deal with Sloane being driven mad by the voice of a man who sounds so similar to the man that tortured her, but it's not him. And because it's not him, now she can't do anything about it. But she hears his voice and she has this idea in her mind that maybe he's still alive, but he's not. That would have been such an interesting story. And it could be even one, you can still end on a cliffhanger if you want to, because you could still end on a, you know, she takes the guy into her basement or something and is about to torture him when he's just completely innocent in all of this. And now that's your to be continued, or something along those lines. Something interesting and different that we've not seen on this show. But no, it's the same old formula. It's exactly what we've seen before. Nothing has changed. It's the same old stuff. And that's why I just feel like this season so far, aside from the whole Gabriel Hicks thing, which I'm about to watch the conclusion to that and do a review on it, still don't know how I missed that. But that was the only thing that sort of stood out to me, because it's the first time we've seen the team make a mistake like that. To allow a guilty man to go free, you know, to be cleared of all charges, and then find out after, oh no, they made a mistake. You know, the key witness was lying. The fact that the killer swung left-handed, oh, he's actually a switch hitter. He can hit both ways, so that doesn't mean anything. They made a mistake. They let him go free. Now they have to clean up their mess. They cost Fornell his job. They have to clean up their mistake now. That was interesting. It lasted that one episode. We didn't hear about it, didn't hear about it, didn't hear about it. 2 episodes, and I guess it all got wrapped up because we didn't end the season on it, so clearly he's not involved anymore. So I don't know. I don't know why they can't change things up a little bit. Why they have to go through the same formula again and again and again and again and again and again. So with all that being said, yeah, I was not impressed at all with these last 2 episodes. I think both of them are just it's the same old stuff. It's nothing new. It's nothing original. And that's kind of disappointing. From a show that I think has done well to not necessarily make a lot of changes, but to at least make it feel fresh and new enough to the point where I can still feel like, okay, it's a new season. It's a little bit of different cast. It's a different feel to the show. The mysteries themselves are not always interesting. It's not that type of show. It's more about the characters involved. But these last two episodes, it just feels like they're trying to replace one character with another one that's way too similar. They got rid of another character and haven't talked at all about the loss of that character. They ended it on another cliffhanger with the same old story that we've seen several times in the past. I can't talk enough about how pissed off I am, because this is a show that I don't want to see end on a bad note. That was where Bones, I think, made a huge mistake of just taking it too long. They took that same formula and they kept using it. By season 11, it was just too much. Season 12 kind of nail in the coffin, and it went out on a terrible note. I don't want to see that happen to NCIS. I want it to end on a great note. And right now, it's getting worse. It's getting to the point where I can't watch it anymore without really getting frustrated. So anyway, those are my thoughts on these last two episodes. As I said, I'm still not quite done with the season yet because I realized I missed an episode. Still do not know how. Yeah, that wasn't even a time when I was super busy and super exhausted. No, that was just a random, I completely missed an episode and didn't watch it, and now I've got to go watch it now. So, I'll go watch that, and then I think I'll just do that on a separate video. But anyway, so that's it for these two episodes. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on these two? What were your thoughts on the season overall? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future NCIS reviews. I'll see you guys in the next and last episode of the season. Peace out.